So the Axle came to the shop today, and I had never covered this weapon on my channel before. So here we go. People warned me that this was a worse Reaper Scythe, which means nothing to me because I've never used the Reaper Scythe before. So I decided to go into a mission and give it a shot. Skulls was so nice enough to give me a copy of one, so we could show it here today. You can see the perks I'm running on it are attack speed, damage, crit damage, and damage to miss monsters and bosses, which is kind of interesting because these weapons are set up in such a way so that you can't have a crit build while also having attack speed. But what I found was with a base 20% chance to crit and, Whiteout Fiona in my support, my chance to crit was actually 37.5%. And with the 6 perk that he had on this, every single hit on an enemy ups my crit rating by 6, stacking up to 5 times for 5 seconds, which means you can get that entire bonus active for a little while. And 30 extra crit rating is a little tough to show. I can show the chart here on how crit rating affects whatever, but ultimately I think that gives me about a 50 or 60% chance to crit when all things are said and done, which is really not bad at all. In fact, I was hitting crits almost more often than normal shots, and that was awesome to me because with Deadly Blade Crash in the support, that was yielding a lot of extra damage, and it really, really helped when you have kind of a slower swinging axe. But because of the way we had it set up here, my attack speed was actually 0.62, which is admittedly not that slow. This reminded me a lot of when I was using the Argon Axe, which is actually kind of interesting because in the Argon Axe video, I opted to use Totally Rockin' Out, which I never do for these weapons because it's kind of a misrepresentation. Like, that's what Skulls was running in our team, and he had kind of a different build than this, and Totally Rockin' Out can be a very good way to go. You can go attack speed, like literally as I show it, with the crit damage and everything, and run Totally Rockin' Out. And with that active, you will have a lot of extra attack speed, a lot of extra damage, a much higher chance to crit for shorter periods of time. And then, of course, you can use the mythic guy that gives you Totally Rockin' Out, Dennis Jr. He'll allow axes to actually activate that team perk. So there's a lot of customizability that you can do in that regard, but I don't like to show it because I feel like it misrepresents a weapon. Then again, I am using Paleoluna in my lead, but I feel like that's kind of a fair way to do it because I use Paleoluna for most of my melees anyway, so her bonus is pretty much active every time I ever personally interact with a weapon. Regardless, that doesn't change what the actual best perks for this is. I was impressed. This was kind of the video where I was going to like recycle it just like the Nailer because I thought it was going to be that bad of a weapon, but after using it, I say it again, I was pleasantly impressed. So what we ran, obviously, as you saw, was the attack speed, damage, and then crit damage, but like I mentioned as well, if you want to kind of take a hit to that attack swing, maybe allow Totally Rockin' Out to pick up all the slack, you could go double crit damage on this with like an extra damage perk in there, but you would be entirely reliant on Totally Rockin' Out for that swing speed, so that's something to take note of. But I thought attack speed was definitely comfortable, so attack speed, double damage could be a really good way to go. That's kind of like the more convenient way to run it if you don't want to trust crits, but I also found that crit damage was a viable way to go because if you are going to run crit damage on this and no crit rating, you are going to need Whiteout Fiona, which is from the road trip event, so that's not currently active as of recording this. This might come back someday, and if you don't have her, then we'll talk about those perks in a second, but if you do have her, she's great. She ups that crit rating, gives you a nice little 17.5% chance to crit, which is definitely required because if you don't have her, then of course you can run attack speed double damage as I mentioned, and I think that would be a perfectly good way to go. And of course you wouldn't want Deadly Blade Crash in my support either. Like, if you don't have that chance to crit, then you don't want to run that, but ultimately that will still be an okay way to go if you want to make this weapon work. And then for this 5th perk, it's kind of interesting because if you can't have Affliction or Slowed and Snared, I have not seen a single copy with this. This is from the Rat Rod event where these weapons all had interesting 6 perks where hitting certain enemies or firing a certain amount of bullets buff your weapon in different ways. And for this one, I've seen it upping crit rating, attack speed, damage. There might be more variations, but that was just from what people told me in the stream. And since it doesn't seem you can get Affliction or Slowed and Snared, obviously if you do have that 6 perk, you want it to match. I thought the damage to miss monsters and bosses was a great way to go because almost every enemy in our game was dying to a single shot or 2 or 3 shots every single time. And for the missed monsters and of course smashers, this was a very, very convenient 5th perk to have, and I think that might be the right way to go because you're not really stunning or staggering enemies all that often, and that is quite a bit less reliable otherwise. So that just about wraps up the Axle. It's kind of a fun weapon, for me to review a weapon that I've never used before, which is funny because this is exactly what I said when I covered the 2-step last week when that came to the shop. Link to that in the description below. Another fantastic shotgun, another fantastic weapon to be coming from the Rat Rod event. Something that Epic has brought to our attention, like, hey, by the way, we're just going to release like this legendary schematic of a weapon that currently doesn't have an active event that everybody kind of just forgot had because it's kind of a rare weapon because they weren't that exciting when they came out the first time. That's exactly what they said to me. That's the message I got at least. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want to support the channel, feel free to use code Mista to check out. Become a member if you want to support me even further. Hope you guys liked it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a nice nice day. And then